One of the most interesting facets of Christianity and of religion is dealing with religious texts. Every single religion in the world has some sort of religious text that supposedly guides, supposedly gives us insight from some supernatural, super intelligent being about how we should live life, about how the world really is and how the world really ought to be. But what is it that really sets the Bible apart? Before we even get to Bible studies and sermons and these different teachings that people have, how do we know that we can trust the Bible? How do we know that the Bible is something that's unique, that is something we've received from this supernatural being that we may call God? You see, there's one particular attribute about the Word of God, about the Bible, that makes it unique. And this fundamental unique element is the unique claim that the Bible makes. You see, one of the things that's very interesting about the Bible is it claims to be the Word of God. It claims to be the very text that God has spoken through men. Now, when you take this claim, you can only really conclude one of two things. Either it's true or it's not true. Now, based upon the fact of whether it's true or not true, how then do we determine the authenticity of this particular claim? You see, one of the unique things about the Bible is you can test it before you have to believe in it. There's external evidence for the Bible's authenticity. So as we use the illustration of the liar, the Lord, and the lunatic about Jesus's claim as the Son of God. You see, when Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, he was either a liar, he was either a lunatic, or he was actually the Lord. You see, if Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, but he actually wasn't God in the flesh, then he's a liar. And obviously, he's a fraud, and no longer all the claims and teachings that follow him would also be false. If he claimed to be God, but he was just out of his mind, this doesn't really make sense, because why would a person who was out of his mind teach things that make so much sense, in which his Sermon on the Mount is considered one of the best public presentations in the history of the world? And thirdly, the only other option that would make logical sense based upon the teachings and the consistency of Jesus's life with his teachings is that he was actually the Lord. But you see, this same logical conclusion is that which we can apply to the Bible, because the Bible claims to be the Word of God, and it was either written by evil men who lied, but why would they write a book that condemned the very actions in which they were doing? Or they were crazy men, then why does the Bible make so much sense and speak so relevantly to the world? And if these two claims cannot hold up to reason, then the only logical conclusion is that this book was written by men who were inspired